my lords and burgesses of Parliament, it is my joy to be among you today as we commence anew our general deliberation for the good of the common weal, and I eagerly anticipate the advice and counsel which you may deem meet and apposite to afford me. I have no doubt but that you are met together with hearts fully disposed to do what is necessary for the honour, happiness, and right government of this kingdom, and that is all I have to ask of you. In order that we may duly achieve our common objective, several things seem principally to require your consideration, the first of which, of course, is the formation of my government. According to an act to amend the Fixed Term Parliaments Act, passed during the final session of my second Parliament, lately concluded, the nomination of one from your number to serve as my Prime Minister has already occurred. Accordingly, I will invite that person to form a government in my name following the conclusion of my address, at which moment the present government will dissolve according to law. My lords and burgesses of Parliament, you have heard me admonish on previous occasions that my government must be composed of active and dedicated citizens who are willing to commit to all which may be required of them for the effective administration of my dominion. You will also recall my earnest plea that the sitting Prime Minister bear in mind at all times that he is bound to be both the active superintendent of the affairs of my government and the daily visible political leader of the Scottish community. As my next government is formed, therefore, I must earnestly plead that the Prime Minister ardently assume the mantle of leadership, and that no portfolio be created without cause. The government requires of the Prime Minister an active executive presence at its head, just as the people demand of the Prime Minister a manifest commitment to ongoing public political leadership. The citizenry of this kingdom are conditioned by our form of government to look to the Prime Minister and to the government for leadership within the community. When the government, however, is not seen to provide the people with the leadership they both crave and require for the orchestration of community, they tend rather naturally to look to the Crown and to the person of the Sovereign for leadership. Pray, my lords and burgesses, that the people not become accustomed to reliance upon the leadership of the Sovereign in lieu of the leadership of his government. I entreat my government to consider the implications of such a state of affairs and to resolutely take measures accordingly. As this new Parliament commences, my lords and burgesses, a new vision will be demanded of you by the people of the Kingdom of Scone. No longer will it suffice to simply look backwards to past Acts of Parliament to see if any of them may be further adjusted or revised for the sake of effecting a veneer of legislative initiative. This Parliament must, with a firm grasp on the present and with an eye on the future, determine those things which are needful for the buoyancy of the state and for the health, welfare, and future direction of our community. I encourage each and every one of you, therefore, to participate boldly and robustly throughout this Parliament, sharing new ideas and making your thoughts and opinions known. That, after all, is what we are here for. In order to ensure, my lords and burgesses, that the momentum of legislative enthusiasm is maintained during this Parliament, I exhort you to insist upon the efficient execution of the rules of order, so as to prevent confusing delays and prolonged periods of parliamentary inertia. Such pockets of inactivity, I have observed, tend to sap this Assembly's fervour, while at the same time causing outside interest in this community to quickly dissipate. Construct sensible timetables, therefore, for the movement of business, and adhere to them faithfully. I urge you furthermore to make arrangements which enable extraordinary chairpersons to proactively preside over the session at times when the Lord Chancellor is not available. I am convinced, my lords and burgesses, that an efficiently managed Parliament which maintains the interest and enthusiasm of the public is the key to this community's growth and well-being. I would like to take this opportunity, my lords and burgesses, to congratulate this body on the unmistakable success of the Diplomatic Intercourse Act passed during a previous sitting of Parliament. By this act, more benefits have been yielded than we might have reasonably expected when at first we resolved to open the door to foreign relations. You were very wise, my lords and burgesses, to craft the provisions of this act in such wise that meaningful and satisfying relationships between crowned heads may be cultivated, while precluding entirely the rather jejune scenario of pursuing unavailing treaties and hollow compacts between the governments of miniature states. The provisions of this act preserve the correct political definition of the Kingdom of Scone, yet they enable us to escape an unnecessarily strict convention of isolation. The address to this body last September of His Royal Highness the Grand Duke of West Arctica was a remarkably delightful result of the measured provisions of the Diplomatic Intercourse Act, precisely representing the sort of friendly interaction between crowns and peoples which the Act had as its objective. My lords and burgesses of Parliament, this, the third Parliament of the Kingdom of Scone, is an opportunity for each and all of us to share our ideas and to make meaningful contributions. I hope there will be such a vigor and fervor in the resolutions you shall take upon the important matters soon to be brought before you, as may make it clear to all the world that we are indeed the fierce, proud people that we ourselves purport to be. And in my opinion, nothing can contribute more to our communal prosperity and security than the fearlessness by which red-blooded Scotishmen exert themselves in the crafting of law. Let us therefore energetically take up the task in hand, acting in unison for the greater good. Noble cousins, beloved sons and daughters, I am happy to report to you that the Kingdom of Scone is at peace, and in her tranquillity do I now declare well and truly open this Parliament. May you deliberate together in all candour, wisdom, and charity, to the edification of all who have occasion to witness your common enterprise.